We've been driving Toyota's current Land Cruiser. The Land Cruiser is undoubtedly one of the most iconic 4x4s that's ever been made. It's been in production for nearly 70 years and has a reputation for unparalleled reliability and durability. If you're in any doubt as to just how strong and reliable Toyota's Land Cruiser is, let me tell you about Emil and Liliana Schmidt, who in 1984 took their Land Cruiser on a bit of a journey, which led them across 186 different countries, covering nearly 500,000 miles, and as of 2017 they were still on this journey. The first incarnation of the Land Cruiser, called the Land Cruiser, was in 1954. Toyota had been making four-wheel drive vehicles before this under the instruction of the Japanese government, but they were essentially wartime American Willys Jeep copies. So the interior of the Land Cruiser it's a very nice place to be, but it's very understated as well. Pretty much everything's black. There's some brushed aluminium highlights, and the center console is brushed aluminium. There's some polished black sort of highlights around the buttons and that kind of stuff, but it's pretty subdued place to be. Black leather interior, black leather on the doors, on the center of the dashboard. The Land Cruiser reeks of quality. For example, every single button, every dial, every switch feels over-engineered to the point where you just can't imagine anything ever breaking on it. Even the wheels for the heated seats feel like they'll outlast me. This Land Cruiser, this Invincible, is the diesel, so it's a 2.8 litre 4-cylinder diesel engine, puts out 175 horsepower, but 450 newton meters of torque, so plenty of torque. It's not the fastest thing in the world, but it's adequate, certainly. Performance is adequate. She's quite big, 4.8 meters long and just under 1.9 meters wide. So it's pretty big, but you have a full suite of cameras around the vehicle. So when you're parking and maneuvering, you have park assist, so it tells you when you're close to anything, and the cameras, you can flick through different views, so you can see down the side how close you are to the curb. You can see front or rear. It's an excellent system. It weighs around 2,200 kilos and it's full 7-seater as well, which I really like. The rear two seats fold down flat, electrically fold down flat, and when they're down there's loads of luggage room. When they're up, there's actually plenty of leg room as well. It's not bad at all. We've had a little play with it off-road, but realistically we didn't tax it. Ultimately it's a press vehicle, and if I break it, I'm probably going to have to pay for it, so I don't fancy that. Flick it into low range, raise the suspension, and just point it where you want to go, and it does mostly the rest for you. The electronics take care of a lot of it. There's all manner of smart little features that make it a superb off-road vehicle. We have idle up, so it raises the idle of the engine slightly, so if you are off-road and you're struggling for grip, it's not going to stall on you. Second start, so if it does stall, it restart for you, no problem. You don't have to do that. And as I've mentioned, adjustable high air suspension makes a big difference as well. On-road manners for the Land Cruiser are absolutely superb. Now, I mentioned about the tyres, and they have an impact on the way the car drives, but I actually prefer the way it drives with the higher profile sidewalls. I've said before, when you get something like an X5 or something with low profile tyres, an SUV with low profile tyres, they don't drive very well on the road, quite firm, and they don't soak the bumps up very well. And like I said, more importantly, they don't drive very well off-road either. We know that Toyota Land Cruisers are absolutely phenomenal off-road. History tells us this. But what's it like on-road? Well, I think it's absolutely superb. We have a double wishbone suspension set up at the front, and at the rear we have a 4-link setup on the rear axle. That suspension is nice and compliant. It doesn't bounce or pitch. It feels like a large luxury saloon. Toyota have fitted the Land Cruiser with an 8-inch screen. User interface is quite interesting. It's really simple to use, just apps placed on the screen, so dead easy to navigate. If I did have one criticism about it, I would say that it's quite slow. Weird thing, but for example, if you turn the volume up or down, it takes a second or so for the volume to actually turn up or down. Strange. It's a small detail. It doesn't really impact how you drive the vehicle at all. Both front and rear seats are cooled and heated, and the front seats are electrically adjustable, driver's seat with memory function. In terms of safety aids, we have a full suite as you would expect. So it has pretty much everything from Toyota Safety Sense, which is a vision system that detects whether there's anything in front of you and applies the brakes if needed. Pre-collision system is part of that. We have adaptive cruise and pedestrian protection systems as well, pretty standard these days. And then we have everything from lane departure warning to automatic high beam assist, and pretty much everything in between. If you're in the market for a luxury SUV, what are your options? Well, this Land Cruiser Invincible model, which is top of the range, is $54,000, which I think is very good value for money. You could go for a BMW X5 as long as you didn't want to go off-road, and they start at $57,000. That's entry level for BMW. Or you could go Volvo XC90. They start at $53,000. Or you could go Land Rover if you didn't want to drive it very often and you were happy to visit the dealer quite often. You could go Land Rover Discovery. They're only $47,000. Start at $47,000, sorry. Not quite the same caliber as this, but nonetheless. Or what about New Defender? So New Defender on paper starts at $45,000. But realistically, 45 would be entry-level model with steel wheels, and I don't know if it comes with seats or anything like that even. A decent spec one starts at 58, and you can easily jump up to 78, which is the nice spec. For me, Toyota's Land Cruiser it's an absolute icon, and for me, I really like this type of vehicle. You don't need to rush. It's, you get where you're going in absolute luxury. You're comfortable. You sit high. You feel invincible. With a near 70-year lineage, you just can't deny that it's one of the most awesome vehicles on the road. The build quality, I've never been in a car that's so well built. It's incredible. I actually think that there's a fairly good chance that this vehicle, if it were mine, would probably outlast me and my children and probably my grandchildren. It's that well built. It's incredible.